future unfold before my eyes. We toured the Micron Clean Room Simulator Lab, and I was so proud to announce back in October of 2023 the collective $15 million to make this become a reality. And support from Micron, the state, and the county really decided to say, let's build something where we can train young people today, so when Micron does open, these jobs will be filled immediately with our graduates from this institution and others. So this is what we're doing. I also want to acknowledge Chancellor John King, Chancellor of SUNY. I mean, that is a very big deal. He leads all of our college campuses, our four-year institutions, and our university centers and colleges. And, you know, leadership really does matter. And when he decided to accept an offer to come to this place after serving as President Obama's Secretary of Education and a distinguished career, I knew how fortunate we were to have someone of his caliber. And again, what I'm looking for in a team and people in places like this are visionaries. And that's exactly what we found in Chancellor John King. Let's give him a round of applause as well. A number of my colleagues from the State Assembly are here. We have Assembly Member Al Sturpey. Great to see you again, Al. Always appreciate you attending these events, your advocacy for Syracuse. Assembly Member Pam Hunter. You know, we've been in your district many times. Support you. Mayor of City of Syracuse, Ben Walsh. I want to thank him for just believing in this community so deeply. And I've seen it from the day he was sworn in, his inauguration, and his ideas and how he wanted to implement a plan to build more housing in places that have been long forgotten and just parts of our city that were so neglected. And he really came to it with a can-do attitude that we should see more of in our elected leaders, but he truly possesses that, and we've been so fortunate to have him as our leader. Let's give another round of applause to our mayor, Syracuse. And again, to our community college presidents who've joined us, this is a big day for community colleges, a very big day. But also, as we think about what our community colleges are intended to do, educate and put people on a career path. And there's someone else I want to acknowledge, Randy Walken, who believes he's the head of the CNY REDC co-chair, but also the head of MACNY, which represents the manufacturers. He has had the vision as well for a long time. This Micron simulation room is something that Randy has spoken about. Getting the hands-on training with the real equipment. This is not pretend equipment. I saw the boxes being shipped over. 30 more boxes arriving on top of the 40 that are here, filled with Micron equipment. So this isn't fake. This is real hands-on learning, and Randy knows the importance of that to make sure that we're building the workforce for the jobs of tomorrow. So let's give him a round of applause as well. And you're going to be hearing from Josh Barr, who's a student who's going to tell you his story, but it is inspiring to know what he's already accomplished thus far and where he's going. So as I mentioned, we've already talked about how important it is to have these state investments. I'm delighted to do this because landing Micron has to be one of the crown jewels in any governor's life, to say you're bringing the largest private sector investment in American history under your watch with the work that we did, working with Senator Schumer in Washington, D.C., President Biden, and so many people came together. But I do believe it was the support of our legislators. It was that extra Green Chips initiative where we said we will put state money there on the table. Federal money is important. That means a facility like Micron would go somewhere in America. That's great. But how do we get them to New York? We had to come up with the dollars and the plan and to help them implement their plan to have a fully sustainable, a place where they're learning or teaching people skills that they've never would have dreamed of having, recruiting people out of our most hard-hit neighborhoods, letting those people see a future. But also what's near and dear to my heart is their announcement they're already building a child care center on site. So thank you, Micron, for having the vision to say we want everybody to have a job, even young parents. So this is a place, you know, there's a lot of capacity here, 8,500 students. It is a large, large institution. And what's exciting, I know the president, who you'll be hearing from, President Hilton, who's, again, a great, great leader here, he told me it's up 4%. There are other places where it's going down 4% and even higher. So that speaks to your leadership, but also people's desire to be part of something that is dynamic and not a place where people think of like old community colleges, but they see some new possibilities, and that is what you have brought to this as well, and I want to thank you for that. So that is a great number. Now, New York is chips country, full stop. Anywhere else in the country, try to compete with that. And Syracuse is the capital of microns and chips country right now, but Syracuse, I want to put out something that's going to make your jaw drop. By the end of this decade, 1 out of the 4 American-made microchips will come from upstate New York, in the whole country. 1 out of 4 will come out of this region. Tens of thousands of high-paying jobs. I want to make sure our people have the skills to seize these opportunities. I don't want people to have to come from out of state. You're welcome to come. We got plenty of, but what about our own students? What about the young people who grew up right here in this county, in this city? This is why they deserve this. This area has waited too long. Believe me, I know. I'm from Buffalo. Well, we're not. Super Bowl next year. San Francisco, here we come. It's in San Francisco next year. I didn't mean that when I was talking about we have waited a long time, but we are waiting a long time for that too. But we've waited a long time for people to believe in themselves again, and to have an outside validator like a Micron, and Global Foundries is here in New York, and the supply chain companies that are coming is, all the way over to Batavia and Buffalo. I mean, this whole region, this Erie Canal region, is now the innovation corridor. And it was an innovation corridor back over 200 years ago. We're celebrating the anniversary of the Erie Canal. At the same time, we're talking about how human capital, the ingenuity that brought us the Erie Canal, is very much in play right now, 200 years later, in the very same place. That is the electricity and the energy that I hope you feel, that I know is out there, and it's so palpable. But people believe in themselves again. It's no longer looking at other cities with envy and other states. That has long been over now. We are the place people want to be. Our housing is in high demand. By the way, we need to build more housing, right, everybody? Let's build more housing. But what can change your circumstances, no matter where you're born, what zip code you're born in, is an education. And why do I know this? Because my parents lived in a trailer park in Lackawanna, New York, near the steel plant where my dad worked, his father worked, his brothers worked, and they thought they were doing great because my dad's father had been a migrant farm worker in the wheat fields of South Dakota because they wouldn't hire Irish anywhere when he came. But to come to that good job at Bethlehem Steel meant everything to them. But my father also had a vision. He wanted to lift his little family out of that trailer park and take them to a new place. And he worked hard. He got his college degree while he worked full time. And when he got that degree, it opened up more opportunities that otherwise would not have been available to him or his own children, and certainly not his daughter, who was able to be blessed with a great education right here in Syracuse. So this is the trajectory I want everybody to be on, because I've seen what it does for families. We get someone's skills in this simulation lab, and they work at Micron. Maybe there's even 2 people working at Micron. I mean, you'll have enough money for Buffalo Bills season tickets and the ride to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's how we define success here in upstate, right? So I can't tell you how excited I am about this, because I know what it does, and I know what we're doing here right now, and I know why this is so worth it. And to also say that this educational opportunity that's right here in this community is going to teach people skills they never dreamed of having. Right now, over 4 million New Yorkers between the ages of 25 and 55 don't have a college degree or credential at all. And unfortunately, even just having that credential is the key to unlock these better paying jobs. There are jobs out there. I have 400,000 jobs available in the state of New York right now. I can't say they're all high paying. I'm talking about opening the keys are the keys to open up the high paying jobs. The one where there's pride in making something. Manufacturing is what we've always done here. We make things with our hands and our minds. That's what this opportunity is all about. But how we get more people in the door to get that college degree, because sometimes for people that cost is a barrier. If you're working minimum wage and you're trying to pay for childcare and then maybe cover the cost of a community college to lift yourself up, it's not happening. It's not happening. It doesn't add up. Single parents want to lead by example and for their kids. My mom went to college when we were all college age because she wanted her kids to see that her parents thought education was important. My mom went back to college. because she didn't have the money to go when she was younger. This is what it does for people. So we're focusing on an age group here, the 25-year-olds. Maybe they're thinking about, maybe I want to get on a path. Someone who wasn't going to go to college and now seeing that they're being left behind. They're never going to be able to get that apartment, much less a house. Someone who's 45 or 50, who's thinking, this is not the skills I want to have. I want to change my career, or the job I had went away somewhere else. So I want to give those people, whether they're professionals looking for a second act or someone just figuring it out for the first time, and our neighbors who've fallen on hard times. I mean, a community college, if it's available to them and they can afford to go, this is how you change people's lives one person at a time. And for many, the thought of shelling out $8,000 a year to cover your tuition and your books and all your expenses, and you have to do it for 2 years, so it's $16,000 to elevate yourself. Who has that kind of money sitting in the bank? Very few people. So that ability to change their trajectory is foreclosed. They can't open that door, except here in New York. And I want to make sure that people know how significant this is. What we have talked about, and I put in my budget just a couple weeks ago, was a plan to say we can reshape the future of thousands and thousands of New Yorkers and create a pipeline of skilled workers to go into our businesses. And how we do that? We'll pick up the cost of that tuition for community colleges right here in New York for ages 25 to 55 in those high-demand careers. Let's get it done. Let's get it through the legislature to make sure that it's accessible for everyone. Whether it's advanced manufacturing, healthcare. I have so many shortages in healthcare and engineering and education. For those fields, you want to get a degree in those, we will pick up the tab for you, because that is an investment that will earn multiple times over. When you're lifted out of your circumstances, that means your family will do better, your community will do better, and all of a sudden our employers are in a better place because they'll have more skilled workers to choose from. So money back in the pockets of hardworking New Yorkers. We've talked about this nonstop for weeks. Money back in your pockets, whether it's from the inflation rebate. You know what that's all about? That says that you all paid 18 to 20% more for everything you bought over the last few years because of inflation, whether it's eggs or your kid's backpack or sneakers. And the state of New York collected more money in sales tax because the cost of everything went up. I looked at that extra $3 billion and said, that doesn't belong to the state. This came out of the pockets of hardworking New Yorkers, and I want it back in their pockets. So we are taking that money and putting it back in families' pockets, $500 for family, $300 for a single, to help people start feeling like they've got something in return, as well as families. My God, who's got children out there? Anybody? Okay. Is this the cheapest thing you've ever done in life? No. No one told you there's a big price tag when that baby comes, right? It's a high price tag. They're worth it. They're totally worth it, but maybe it's because I'm a mom and I had to pay for the formula and the diapers and the clothes that they outgrew every 3 months. But there's a reason they say 3 to 6, 6 to 9. They outgrow them, and you're always buying more clothes, right? So we want to put money back in families' pockets in those early years. When I first became governor, children under the age of 4, you know how much money they got from the state for the child tax credit? 0. Because nobody was smart enough to realize that's the most expensive time. What are we doing? So we brought them into the fold, and this year we're going to triple the amount of money and raise the money to $1,000 for children under the age of 4, $500 for school age. If you have a young family and we're picking up the cost of the breakfast and lunch, so there's no stigma on any child ever having to go to a different line because their parents couldn't afford breakfast or lunch for them, we start having this sense of possibility for every child. We pick up those costs, the inflation rebate, the middle class tax cut. Now we're talking $5,000 back in families' pockets, and then you want to go to community college? We just added another $16,000 back in your pockets? Now we're talking. Now we're talking. We're talking about making life in New York more affordable. And that's what we have to do. We'll focus on so many issues, mental health and health care and public safety is so important to all of us. But just having money back again so you don't have that stress when the bills come every month. My God, if government can do that for you, people start to believe again. Maybe they are listening to us. Maybe they understand what I've been through. Maybe my circumstances help me relate because my family started off with so little. But this is what I want to do. I want to open up these opportunities for you. And we're going to be expanding our tuition assistance program, making it available to more people. We're launching the Office of Strategic Workforce Development. So there's a place where people can understand that this is where you go to find out what your career might be. We're also investing over $200 million we call on-ramp centers. That's where we're also doing more training for advanced manufacturing jobs. And we have our on-ramp center right here in Syracuse. We announced it here. We want to make sure it happens here. Syracuse is the epicenter of this movement. So, my friends, I'm excited to be back. I know that education is everything. It is the great equalizer. It's the great mechanism to lift people out of their circumstances, often out of poverty. And there's few things more powerful in life than that. And that's what we're going to do here. And with the leadership we have here, with President Hilton and our community college leaders from all over, mountains that once seemed insurmountable, well, now we can climb them, now we can scale them. And we can have a future for all young people that might have never been in their wildest dreams. But this is the great state of New York. We always believe in better days ahead. And that's why we say, ever upward. We're continuing to move upward, and I want to thank everybody who's participating in this. Let's get it done. Let's make the community college free for these individuals, and let's open up these doors of opportunity. Are you with me to do that? Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let me introduce someone who's well known to this community and outside the community as well. His reputation's exceptional. President of our Onondaga Community College, Warren Hilton, and I want to thank him for his enthusiasm for this micron stimulation lab. He knows what's in every single box. He's so excited about it, but that's just one piece of what he does, but that shows he's on the cusp of great things happening right here at OCC. So, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Governor. I want you to know SUNY is fired up. Our community college, right? SUNY is fired up. Our community colleges are extraordinary engines of upward mobility, and your plan to provide free tuition, books, supplies, and fees for adults ages 25 to 55 is going to transform lives. And I want to say that the governor is so inspiring when she talks about the role that public higher education plays in New York, the way in which it is a pathway to opportunity, the way in which public higher education can be the foundation for a thriving economy for all New Yorkers. And she puts action behind those words. This proposal today builds on an extraordinary commitment that the governor has made to SUNY, to our two-year institutions and our four-year institutions, the investment in operating support, a targeted investment last year in community colleges, focus on healthcare, workforce development, and mental health, which we know is such a critical issue for our students, the expansion of the tuition assistance program, doubling the minimum award, taking the income threshold for families from $80,000 to $125,000. When the governor talks about affordability, when she talks about investing in opportunity, she means it. Governor, we are incredibly, incredibly appreciative. Can we have another round of applause for the governor? Now, the governor and our partners in the legislature have been so committed to SUNY, and I know they're excited about this proposal. And I just want to underscore, the governor talked about those 4 million New Yorkers without a college degree and the opportunity that this program creates for them to have a path to advance their families economically. I want to point out that the average high school graduate without a college degree makes just over $40,000, about $41,000, $42,000. Starting salary for a registered nurse in many parts of the state, over $70,000. Think about the difference for a family that getting that community college degree is going to add $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, even $40,000 to their family income. Now, this is an incredible investment in New Yorkers. And the other reason it's so important to invest in our community colleges around this initiative is we know how to serve adult learners well. 28% of our students across our community colleges are adult learners. And we understand that adult learners need additional support. That might be around advising, it might be around schedule flexibility, the ability to go part-time, the ability to go nights and weekends if necessary. It may mean childcare. The governor's made important investments in childcare facilities on many of our campuses so that families can rely on their campus community for childcare. So we are committed not only to launching this program, but delivering on this program, making sure that the students who start, finish, and have access to the economic opportunity we know is there for them in New York. So, Governor, thank you so much for your leadership and vision. Our colleagues in the legislature, thank you for your strong support for SUNY. Our college presidents who are here, thank you for your leadership and your commitment to student success. And I want to particularly highlight President Hilton. The governor did a great job introducing President Hilton. The only thing I will add is that when you think about what is possible in this region, and when you think about what can be accomplished with Micron coming and all of the supply chain companies, Warren and his team are going to be integral to making that successful. And that's what we want for our SUNY presidents, for them to be not just leaders of their institution, but leaders for a brighter future for their community. Ladies and gentlemen, Warren Hilton.
Usually after somebody introduces me, I have to pull the microphone up. I don't have to do that today, so thank you. Give it up for our Chancellor, our SUNY Chancellor, John King. And certainly give it up again for our wonderful Governor, Kathy Hochul. I would be remiss if I didn't start out by acknowledging the land that we are on, the land of the Onondaga people. Since I moved to upstate New York, they have taught me so much. So to all of you, I will say in their language, scanau, which means peace, today, and happy that you're here. So, you know, the governor talked about, and the chancellor talked about higher education being the great equalizer. And I can tell you from my own life, growing up in Philadelphia and being a product of public higher education, if it wasn't for affordable public higher education, I wouldn't be standing before you today. Incidentally, Governor, I had a couple dreams when this year started, being from Philadelphia and now living in upstate. I was hoping for Eagles, Bills, but it didn't happen. But next year. But we will avenge the loss of our wonderful colleagues in Buffalo. But in all seriousness, I'm certainly grateful to the governor, to our local legislators, love the work that they do out in Albany and the support they give to us here at OCC and to the leadership they give across the state, to our county legislators. I see some of them here. Thank you to my presidential colleagues, and certainly to our friends in D.C., Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand. Wanted to make sure that I acknowledge all of you and just talk very briefly about what the Chancellor talked about, the historic investments in public higher education, the current $8 million increase in operating aid for us to expand our nursing workforce, our healthcare workforce, and increase mental health support for students, right, that is critically needed to get them to graduation. I think that deserves a round of applause because that was the first increase in 9 years. And the previous one-time investments before that, including the SUNY Transformational Fund, which the Chancellor stewarded so wonderfully, providing funding to all of us in SUNY to help our students succeed. And for us, we're also leading an effort with 4 community colleges and those semiconductor employers that you talked about to figure out ways where we can expand the semiconductor workforce. So we're very thankful for that historic investment. And I will say to you, Governor, to our local legislators, and to you, our chancellor, our wonderful chancellor, we have not wasted that investment. And I want to tell you a little bit about how those historic investments have produced historic outcomes. Our faculty and staff took those investments and got to work. I believe we have, no disrespect to my presidential colleagues, the best faculty and staff around. And they got to work, and they created opportunities. And I'll give you just a few examples, just in the interest of time. I won't give you all of the many examples. But with those historic investments, we doubled the size of our surgical technology program. I can tell you about Melissa Duran, who graduated from here last year. Those of you who work in the healthcare industry know exactly how much somebody in surgical technology makes, as the chancellor pointed out and the governor, life-changing wages. We began offering our electromechanical degree program, the program that everybody says is the Micron program, in the fall of 2023, training technicians for the semiconductor industry. And most recently, with those investments, we were able to double the size of that program so that we can accelerate the number of workers that we're producing for Micron and Inficon and TTM and many others. It is an amazing thing what you can do with historic investments. Our faculty develop programs in construction and skilled trades. We already have started offering our construction management degree, and in the fall we'll be starting a new welding degree. And later on in the academic year next year, an HVAC program. We're expanding our auto tech program to include a new program in heavy equipment diesel. Mayor, can you tell me when your mechanics are going to retire? Okay, I thought so. We've hired additional nursing faculty to expand our nursing offerings and a new full-time mental health counselor to support our students. These are just a few of the ways that we are returning on that investment that New York State has made into community colleges. And we are so grateful to you, Governor, Chancellor, our legislators, for that extreme investment. I know from my colleagues, I give you examples from here, but there's many more examples across our state from our community colleges. With these historic investments, I can tell you right here at OCC, you heard the governor talk about our increased enrollment, but let me give you just a few more facts. We've increased our enrollment by 1,200 students from the fall of 22 to the fall of 2024. And I don't know if any of our trustees were able to make it, but I certainly see right up front a former trustee who served here for 14 years, just ended her term at the end of 2024. We could not do that without the support of our trustees. We have raised our fall to spring persistence rate by over 6% in the last 3 years, and we have produced more graduates who are going into the workforce or transferring to four-year institutions like SUNY ESF, like Morrisville, in record numbers. We raised our 3-year graduation rates by more than 4.5% in the last 3 years. Amazing. Historic. And I might add that over 85% of those graduates live or work within 25 miles of this campus. To your point, Governor, they're not leaving. They're staying right here and contributing to our economy. So as I begin to close, simply put, historic investments equals historic outcomes for the residents of Central New York and the state of New York. And it provides the expanded workforce that we so desperately need to continue the economic growth right here in upstate New York. And for that, Governor Hochul, Chancellor King, our legislators, I am so eternally grateful. And as you heard today, the governor's plan for free community college education continues those historic investments in public higher education. We know that this free tuition plan for community colleges will increase the number of adults who will be able to pursue a degree right here at Onondaga Community College and across the 29 other community colleges in SUNY, and certainly to our CUNY partners as well. I know because most of our students, you heard the chancellor say 28% of the students across the state are adult learners. The majority of our students are under the age of 25. And I can tell you, our graduates in 2023 from Onondaga Community College, 68% of them graduated with no student loan debt. So, Governor, I know that now as we expand to free community colleges for adults, we're going to be able to increase that number of students who are graduating without student loan debt, get them into great jobs that will pay them those high-paying wages. So thank you, Governor, for your vision to help adults without a college credential and change their lives and the lives of their families for generations to come. I think that deserves a round of applause. I certainly see here daily how our students and alumni are impacted by these historic investments. I won't mention names, but I can tell you of a student that my wife and I had dinner with back in November. And I said, tell me how it's going. This is your first semester at OCC. And he looked at me and he said, Dr. Hilton, OCC saved my life. And I said, what do you mean OCC saved my life? He said, Dr. Hilton, earlier this year, I just got out of prison and I was lost. And I found my way to OCC, an adult student. I found my way to OCC, and the people in our Meg O'Connell Center for Social Justice and Community Impact changed my life. They're the only reason I'm still here. I can tell you countless other stories, but in the interest of time, I'm going to let you hear one of those stories, because today you will hear more about the transforming power of an OCC education and how it impacts the lives of our adult students. So, with that, it is my great pleasure to introduce our fabulous student speaker today, OCC student Josh Baer, who is a computer information systems major. And I'm not going to tell you his whole bio because he's going to come up and he's going to talk about his life and his experience. Please give it up for Josh Baer.
Hello. Governor Hochul, Chancellor King, and President Hilton, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my story with you. I'm a 41-year-old single father and recovering heroin addict. On October 6, 2023, I began a life of sobriety. I needed to set an example for my son, so I decided to go to college. 1 year ago, I became a student here at Onondaga Community College in the Computer Information System program. It was tough, but thanks to great professors like Timothy Stedman, Christian Sisak, my wonderful navigator, Betsy Vavanese, and all of the other great staff support around me, I ended up earning a 3.825 grade point average. In my first semester, I was inducted into the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, something I never would have thought would be possible for me. The night of the ceremony, my mother and son were there cheering me on. It was one of the proudest moments of my life. Because I'm a single father, I need to finish my degree as soon as possible so I can begin working in my degree field and secure the American dream for my son and I. Governor Hochul, if your free college program was available to me 1 year ago, it would have helped me tremendously. When you're trying to change the course of your life while you're living it, every penny helps. I have many goals. Some are short-term, some are long-term. They include sobriety, being the best father I can be, completing my degree here at OCC, going to work and eventually earning my bachelor's degree, and one day starting my own cybersecurity business. Governor Hochul, I hope your free college program becomes the law so it will be here to help future students like me. Thank you very much.